Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome, and I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening on Talk and Sip. And I wish you well, and I hope you're having a good evening. Today is the 1st of April, 1st of April 2022. They normally say something special about 1st of April. 1st of April, they say, is Tomfool Day, if that's what it is. But we're not into Tomfool business, and so that is what April the 1st is. But without a doubt, we don't have to follow those sort of things about what April is about. Well, my name is Sylbourne Sydial. Saturday night on Talk and Sip. Always ask persons if anything, and if you are part of the process and you understand what happened. We ask the question, and the question is, what are you drinking? The Talk and Sip special, which started in the middle of the pandemic period, and we started when you had the COVID period, whereby there were certain terminologies that you couldn't mention. And then we were on Instagram a lot, and then we saw they shut us down, right, Jody? I can see you there. And we decided to move it over on YouTube in order to somewhat sort of control the sort of narrative, or if they shut us down, we sort of save it with the platform which I'm using, and we try to have these discussions, and these discussions that talk about specifically around Jamaica in a way. There's so many things happening in the world. I'm in the UK, London, and one could talk about even what's happening in the USA. But then we said, let us sort of focus on it from a rumbar perspective, from a diaspora perspective, if anything. What are you drinking? What am I drinking today? Always like to drink my water. And this, we have become very healthy. So you have a sparkling water, which you call it Crystal Punch. Yeah. Crystal Punch is what we call it, Crystal Punch. Somebody just messaged me a while ago, and what they said? They said, just going to get a drink from a Jamaican store. Be right back soon. So apparently he had to go to a Jamaican store to get a drink. Maybe he's going to get the uncle. But even if he gets the uncle, won't have to have too much. I try to have a little red wine. Not much. I try not to have much. Try to keep it very light and moderate. And Merlot. I worked many years when I first came to the UK, and as a student, work in different places. And I remember I worked at what's the place called? Madame Tussauds at one point. Madame Tussauds, where the waxwork museums are. And I also worked at Pizza Express, and they specialize in different type of wines as well. And that was something else. It wasn't just a pizza, but it was wine. It was something very special about wine. And you can let me know if you want to come in on the show later. And the topic, the key topic is this: parliamentary speaking. Yeah, parliamentary speaking. That's one of the key topic tonight. Parliamentary speaking. But what do we mean by parliamentary speaking? Yeah, parliamentary speaking from a Jamaica perspective. And I say that because Jamaica is comprised and imitate the Westminster system. And the Westminster system is similar to Gordon House, just like the House of Commons. Punch and Judy politics. Talk about languages that is used in the House. Languages which should be withdrawn, if anything. But the most important thing is decorum. That is something which is crucial. Decorum. How do we address each other? What's the message that we are sending to the young people? In the UK, the Speaker of the House always say order, order, order. And when he says order, he's actually referring to having some semblance of authority or some semblance of order in the House. Because the Speaker always talks about other people looking in. And those other people looking in, what are they thinking? What are children also thinking as well? And therefore, so I'm going to have Matondo Mukulu. I don't know if anybody knows him. Matondo Mukulu was the former DP. Actually, he was acting for an interim period in Jamaica as a public defender. Matondo Mukulu is a Jamaican, is a public law barrister and commentator on aspects of Caribbean constitutional and public policy issues. I'll be having O'Neill Cross as well, O'Neill from the USA. The time went back. Hope that it doesn't get mixed up, because the time went back, and I think last week was not last week, the week before. Last week I didn't come on. It was my birthday week. Didn't come on last week. And also as well, one is going to have maybe Lester Gale and other persons, and anyone want to come on can come on live, which is on the YouTube. The link can be sent. But also something which I'm going to bring on also, hopefully later, possibly David Chen, a good friend. Rest in peace to his father who passed away. My condolences to David Chen. I'm also hopefully get Norman Gordon, motivational speaker, and have his books. And what we're going to look at and possibly talk about is the power of the teachers, the lives that the teachers have touched, maybe to the end, all being well. That would be great, if anything. And definitely others. But something else which I saw, which was very concerning. We come from Ochi, and everybody know me as Ochi Man. Never forget the couple who always call me Ochi Man. They always say man from Ochi. That's why they call me man from Ochi, because I'm come from Ochiris. And I always speak about Ochiris. Land of my birth, country of my birth, town which I grew up in. And that's Ochiris. I remember those days. So I always mention Ochiris. And in Ochiris recently, they talk about the White River rafters, whereby I don't think I've got the right to play any of the videos or so I try not to mess around with it, because sometimes there's copyright infringement and so like that. And I don't have to sensationalize it at all with any of the videos. But in Ochiris, in White River, they showed the authorities, the police, and breaking down some of the rafts, breaking down some of the livelihood of people. And I've got message also from the officials. I wrote to Ed Bartlett and to Delana Sivright, and also to the Centre and Chamber of Commerce president, and I got a response from the Chamber of Commerce president, so one can actually refer to that later, all being well. Most definitely, because one has got a sort of perspective and a thought process to that, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I like to consider is the care of the people. And in the UK, one of the things, if one falls on hard times, lose their jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs during the COVID period. Lots of companies shut down. But they could knock on the door of the council in their local area, and they would get help, support. May not be the support that they need. May not be the support that they want, or the house that they want, but there'll be a shelter over their head, food for their stomach. And they can also supplement such food at the same time by going to food bank. My church, a food bank. I'm live on. You're not seeing me on YouTube? I'm there on YouTube. I'm there. I can see myself on YouTube. I'm there on YouTube. Michelle, let me send it to you. I can see myself on YouTube because I always have it playing as well. Let me send it to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm over on YouTube as Sylbournetv. It is up and it is running, and also I'm on Facebook as well. Facebook on Sylbournetv, you can find me there. I sometimes tap into TikTok at times just to boost the awareness as well. And the Instagram is just more for a shop window. It's like a shop window that people can come in. But anyway, as I was saying, in the UK, if one falls on hard times, you can actually tap onto the council house and you can get support for your housing, support for your living, support for your family. If you might want the bedrooms that you want. You might not get it, but you can get some level of support. You can go to the food bank as well and to get some support as well. And what is so interesting is what annoys a lot of people at the same time is the fact that even persons who are traveling on the boats and they reach to the UK, coming from different countries, once they step into the UK, the government, the authorities will take care of them, will put them up. Yes, they're going to go through the process of the asylum application, and their case will be tested, but in the meantime they will be taken care of. In the meantime, they'll be supported. And even if they go to Rwanda, as the government wants them to go to Rwanda, if anything based on the policy, they will also be supported in Rwanda with a hotel or so. Because right now, when anybody come to the UK or so now, you go into a hotel, and the government is saying it is not sustainable. They cannot keep going at this for such a long time. So therefore, that is something which is very, 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 very concerning. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, how do the authorities, how do the government, like when they break down the house or break down the raft, break down these people's living, whether it is illegal or not, how do they substantiate it? How do they have some sort of contingency plan? If there's a big picture and there's a big plan to overall the area, what is the contingency plan? That person who actually want to go to the rafting and to get some money for their family and to send their children to school, who is going to support them? The good thing about it is that the diaspora or people who do remittances send a lot of money, and they send a lot of money to support persons, and that is welcome. So when people sometimes say that let us serve Jamaica sauce by not sending any money or any remittance to Jamaica, always laugh at that and scoff at that, because people are not sending money to Jamaica. People are sending money to their family. People are sending money to their children. People are sending money to their sons. Nurses and teachers and persons who migrate, or myself, people migrate for different reasons. When they send back money, they're not sending it to the coffers of the government. It's not like a reparation money or so, which many people say when the reparation comes, it's going to go into the money, go into the pocket of the government. When people send money back, they're sending it to their families, their children, their whatever, to help substantiate them, whatever. That's what it's going to be. And the whole thing about it is that the persons, like even in the White River scenario there, they also contribute to the local economy. They do, don't they? Yes, they do. Don't you agree? They contribute to the local economy. They also play a fundamental role. But illegality must not be condoned, right? What is illegal must not be condoned. Let me just check something here. Okay, Michelle, are you able to get onto YouTube? Anyone get over YouTube? Let me send a message there. Also, let me send the link as well. Okay, someone having, okay, you're having trouble getting in, no problem. Let me send the link for this one. You know, today I was in the park, and today I like going to the park. So when you go to the park is like a refresh zone. You go to that refresh zone, and then what happens? You just enjoy the moment, and I call it sometimes the transitional zone, the transitional period. I meet a lot of people in the park, and people who watch me, I meet a lot of people in the park, elderly, young, with dogs. Dogs get to know me. Even when I'm speaking to a gentleman sometimes, and we're talking about dogs or so, and the dogs try to come near me or so, sometimes one may actually put your hands in the pocket and they come to you and thinking that you're going to give them some food, you know, and persons will say, no, don't give them any food or so, or the dogs will rush you. And if they rush you, okay, fantastic, I can see you. Can't see your face. Show me your face. There you are. Okay, until you're ready, give me a thumbs up and I'll let you in. And give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. So ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I want to look at tonight is the whole aspect about decorum, Parliament and its decorum at the same time. You may have seen that big hula hoo in the House recently. And the big hula hoo in the House recently was when Angela Burke, she said to what she said? She said to somebody, shut your mouth, you know? And the speaker said, withdraw that, you know? Or did he say yes? Matondo? He didn't say, okay, he didn't say yes, okay. Just type it in when you're ready. Just type in and tell me when you're ready, yeah. And Nigel Clark, who is the opposition, sorry, the Minister of Finance, called Mark Golding, Massa Mark. Yeah. And when you hear Massa Mark, for me personally, when you hear that term, what you're actually thinking about, really and truly, you know, you're not thinking about Mass Clark or Mass Mark. You think about Massa. And Massa, as far as I'm concerned, it's about the historical bit. It's about the white man who control. And one can spin it in many different ways and spin it around and round, you know. And I must say that at the same time, one will say that the persons in the house, sometimes they're all families, they're all friends, buddies, them and things like that. They are godfathers of respective children. And then you wonder sometimes if the media at the same time try to pit people against each other. Yeah, I can see very clearly. Yeah, so until you're ready, just give me a thumbs up and I'll bring you in. Yeah, and things like that. So the key article that Matondo mentioned, and it talks about the odious lie that is discrimination. The odious lie that is discrimination. The sad thing about this spectacle of the finance minister using a racial slur to refer to the leader of the opposition is the fact that it took place in our national parliament. And not one person on the government side of the house displayed any disquiet over what on any interpretation was racial harassment. If we are going for a legal definition, just in case anyone who confused as to what Dr. Clark meant, Member of Parliament Everett Warmington was quick to demonstrate not just his lack of command of basic aspects of our history, but his commitment to falsehood. The entire episode was one of the lowest moments that I've witnessed in our nation's parliament, and it will stand out, and not merely because I'd expected better of Dr. Clark, but because as a student of history, I immediately recognized from Warmington downright lie that our ignorance of material aspects of our history was being used for political mileage. What do I mean? Well, to anyone in the Caribbean who has had misfortunes of having not had her mind tantalized by the details of Caribbean history, any and every Englishman who happened to have been born in Britain between the 16th and the 19th century must have been involved in the crucial institution of slavery. Nevertheless, at the same time, Minister Clark, he actually tried to, and he justified it in his way by saying, I didn't say anything wrong. I would not legitimize it by giving somewhat of a what should I say, an apology. Matondo, you ready? Yeah? Thumbs up, no? No thumbs up, no? Thumbs up, that's it? Yes? Okay, 1 second, loving God. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, and you?
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you're in, and I'm glad that you are here, and I'm glad that it's a Saturday night and you're actually drinking something. I don't know if you're drinking anything special. I'm just
drinking a drink from Portugal.
You're drinking a drink from Portugal.
Yeah, it's rum cream.
Oh, Lester, how are you? Let's see, always wear your colors. I don't know what the message you're sending. Huh? What's up?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Evening. Can I just ask you, Lester, any reason why you wear your colors? Are you representing the JLP?
What's his shirt?
Sure. Yeah, just
I've been wearing JLP paraphernalia for a long time. It's the first after that.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're just checking still and things like that. Because people are gonna say you're speaking on behalf of the jail. What are you drinking, boss?
Water. I only drink water.
Agua. Well, I'm chilling here. But anyway, I want Matondo to sort of refer to. I don't have the clips. I was trying to get the clips, but I can play it on my phone if anything like that. This whole discussion in Parliament there recently. I won't say discussion. This whole hula hoo regarding the parliamentary language and the request to withdraw it, and the master mark factor which Nigel Clark mentioned to Mark Golden. Yeah. And I saw your article, Matondo, very long article, and I posted it. But what's your take on it? And I'll go to Lester after, yeah.
I think we need to preface it by saying that within the context of Jamaica's parliament, historically, there's been fair banter and rough and tumble. And I've always been one who I've accepted that part of what makes a good politician is someone who knows to bring drama, political drama, to that theater, which is the parliament. And of course, you have to do that within the confines of what the standing order allows. And the more astute politician will know how to push the boundaries without actually pushing it and without breaching the rules. Dr. Clark is someone for whom I don't know him personally, but I have had respect for him in the sense that he's demonstrated a certain level of honesty, which is not something I've always been able to say about politicians. For example, whenever he gives credit where credit is due, in terms of the financial stewardship of Dr. Phillips. And I think he goes about his job in a genuine way. I might disagree with how he focuses sort of exclusively, or not necessarily exclusively, but predominantly on the macroeconomics. And I'm one who says that it's important to get this correct. But if there's a criticism I would like to lay at him prior to what unfolded last week, is the fact that I have always regarded him as someone who focused a lot on the microeconomics. But that's the only criticism I've ever had of him. He's a good public servant. But I must admit, even after he said, use the what I call a racial slur, I wouldn't have written him off. Is after I listened to his apologia. That was when I said, "No, this is arrogance. This is arrogance beyond." You know what Shakespeare always say, or what Shakespeare said once: "Those who the god destroys, the first make them mad." And that was a sign of madness when he stood up and tried to twist himself up into explanation. That was unfortunate, and he's lost a lot of political points amongst those who matter. I don't live in Jamaica. I'm voting now, but amongst those who matter, because rightly or wrongly, whatever the side of the political fence you've sat on, you've developed a certain liking for Nigel Clark. You develop a certain liking for him, and obviously you're not in politics to be liked at all times. But when I saw him say, well, even Barbara Gluden has used that expression in the context of describing some American, can't remember which American politician or Secretary of State was coming down. And I said, well, you haven't showed anyone the article that you're referring to, so that everyone can get the context. Secondly, when he talks about people talking about Master God, I'm just like, oh, come on, man, what is wrong with you?
Let me play just a bit of it. I think I've got it here.
It's in the Gleaner today.
Yeah.
It seems to hurt them, Madam Speaker. It hurt them. And it hurt us, Mark, too. It burned him. Come on, on a point of order, Madam Speaker. No, on a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. So it's a master mark, and there's some background to it. Let's hear what Lester say. Lester, what's your take on this?
I respect everybody's opinion, but I would like just a bit of clarity on the racial aspect of it, because even to our bosses at times who are, men of African descent in Jamaica, and if they have a particular attitude, we refer to them as, Backer Master come, or the Backer Master there, So if one black man referring to another black man as Backer Master, would that be considered in the context or confines of a racial slur?
Can't. Unless they're from two different countries.
But that's the same context that Nigel said that he was using it in terms of attitude and Mark's consistent language and behavior towards Jamaica Labour Party supporters or a particular set of people. He said that.
Yeah, so I know he said that.
How would you align it to racial when he defined what he said?
You got to remember something about, I don't want to get into the law, the nitty-gritty of it, but one has to. One of the first things that you learn when you're learning about race law is that the test is invariably objective, not subjective. So that's when he lost me, when he's there telling me about, one, it's not his intention, and two, I can't go into his mind. All I can do is assess what comes from his mouth. And the objective person, looking at the factual context where he's addressing a man of European descent, will ultimately take the interpretation that he's alluding to is placing him in the context of being someone who is a descendant of someone participated in slavery. And that is why, what's his name? That despicable person, Ever Warmington. I find him a very despicable person. He's very rude. That is why he was quick to say, and I paraphrase here, they're not true. Grandfather is a descendant of slave owners. Now, sorry, I never got your name, sir.
My name is Lester.
Lester. Now, Lester, if it is that Nigel meant something different, why is it that Warmington was so quick to pick up on it and say, he didn't say, what do you mean? He said, they're not true. So objectively speaking, an objective person, a bystander looking on, is more likely to have interpreted that to be a racial slur than to the interpretation that Nigel Clark is trying to tell us that needs to be applied to it. That is the problem. What makes it, the test is an objective one, not a subjective one. And you ask, yeah, that is in the context of how that's called racial harassment. That's racial harassment.
Okay.
It makes the person, sorry, it makes the person feel uncomfortable.
Okay. Wouldn't you say that the word boy is if used by a person of European descent to a person of African descent is also a racial slur?
That question suggests to me that you understood exactly what Nigel Clark did. Of course. Yes.
Okay.
And that's exactly what Nigel Clark did.
Okay. So when Mark Golding referred to Bobby as little boy, man of European descent, talking to another black man, right?
Yeah.
In that context.
Yes.
Wasn't that racial?
Yes, and guess what? People castigated him for it, rightfully so.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
And he never came out, Lester. He never came out and gave an apologia for it. He didn't. And that's where I think Dr. Nigel Clark went wrong. The question that you've just asked me is it's the same thing that happened. The only difference now is that it happened in Parliament, the highest court of the land. That's I'm not saying what Mark Golding did was less offensive. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm just saying
place doesn't matter. The place that it is said that racial slurs are something offensive, it said whether at Parliament or on a political stage outside, it doesn't matter. If you said something,
it doesn't matter in the sense that a slur is a slur. I understand that, but I'm saying you sort of belittle the Parliament when you get to the level as minister, when you go and use that racial slur. And as I said to you earlier, I was not necessarily, I felt sorry for Nigel Clark, and I thought when he came to Parliament this week that he was gonna just get up, using the standing order, Article 18, and just say, you know what, I erred there. I erred there. That was my error, and leave it there. When I saw the guy get up, and I'm like, what is he saying? That's when I realized, this guy is arrogant.
One of the things that I pick up a lot regarding this whole thing is that depending on which side you're on, one is somewhat very defensive of persons, and what I pick up a lot is just because Mark's what's his name said it, Nigel said it, then didn't the PNP said it some time ago? Didn't say somebody said black man time now? And it juxtaposing all of this, and what we're trying to talk about is what is the right decorum and the right thing to do. I believe Nigel should have simply said, this is my belief, I believe Nigel should have simply said, listen, I'm sorry, I apologize. Sorry if you're offended, and just move on. Instead of trying to dig a hole, if anything, as far as I'm concerned, he dug a hole, and it brought forth a high level of arrogance to a certain extent. That's just my perspective there. I know Nigel. We worked together, and I know him from a long time ago through working with his uncle Claude Clark. But we ever call a spade a spade. That's how I see it.
But we can also say, Sylbourne, that in the eyes of a particular person who is on a particular side also, that he dig a hole in their opinion. There are other persons that don't think that he has dug a hole.
No, but if I may say, sorry, Lester, sorry. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go on, Lester.
No, I understand that, Lester, but it's one of the points I make. I hear PMP supporters trying to twist themselves up, defending how Mr. Siago was treated in 1993. I don't know if you're probably too young enough to remember that, how he was treated.
I was born in 1978, sir.
Oh, so I'm just giving you a credit to how youthful you look.
Is the lighting?
But how he was treated in 1993, you must have been in second form at that time. I remember distinctly.
1993, I was exiting Excelsior High School.
19 what?
1993, I was exiting Excelsior High School.
I thought you said you were born in 78.
Yes, I did common entrance at age 9.
Oh, okay. So, how Mr. Siago was treated in 1993, in respect of if I should come down off this stage tonight, paraphrasing, and stand up in the crowd, I will look no different from you. Yeah. That was, I don't use the word unfortunate. That's nonsense. That was wrong. Period. When he says black man time now, that's not something that I always pointed to people. That was not just in relation to Mr. Siaga. That was in relation to Mr. what's his name? Michael Manley. Because if you read the book, what's it called? Let me find it quickly in my eyes. The Truth Be Told. It was written conversations between Michael Manley and his last wife. He was offended by that also. So it wasn't a dig just at Mr. Siaga. So it was also a reference to the party, the party from which he came. But how Mr. Siaga was treated in terms of that comment in 1993, yeah, that was wrong. It was wrong. And as you said, Sylbourne, two wrongs just don't make a right. It might have been okay in 1993 to say that, but in 2023, it is wrong. And we cannot develop a politics, a grown-up politics, where the basis on which we think something is okay is if it was done in the past. That's anemic. That's lazy thinking.
It wasn't okay in 1993, and even before that. I remember even the 80s. My father is a strong PMP activist, and I would be around him and his friends, and I would hear just the commentary from a lot of people, in the People's National Party. And he would take me to places around politicians of the People's National Party. And just the Syrian man or the white boy, and they would always do that, And it's not just a PMP thing, it's a Jamaican thing. Right? It's the same thing goes for dancehall, where they relate to Shaggy as the white youth and Sean Paul as the white youth.
Shaggy?
Yeah, yes.
Person must be colorblind, but anyhow.
But that's how Jamaicans see them.
No, Shaggy. Nobody would regard in the context of Jamaica's color politics. Nobody would regard Shaggy as white. Nobody. I'll be shocked to see it. It must be someone who's blind. Not even Stevie Wonder would have done that.
As I said,
and Stevie Wonder can see very well as well.
In the confines of dancehall.
No. Shaggy regarded in the Jamaican color context as brown. I doubt anyone would consider it to be white.
Well,
I'll be surprised.
let's just say in dancehall, in dancehall.
In
But
dancehall, they understand coloration in
yeah.
dancehall. If any place in Jamaica that is understood, it is in the dancehall. The
Mm.
guys, they would describe him as brown, no, not white.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that because this whole thing sometimes can just keep going around in circles, and it's more than, I think it's less than a 9-day wonder, if anything, because you hardly hear anything talk about it. Angela Brown Burke, she did withdraw, isn't it? She withdrew her statement or words. Nigel didn't. The question is this: for in Jamaica and the House of Commons, there's similarity with the House of Commons and Gordon House in the sense, and they ask for persons to consider certain terminologies as unparliamentary language. I remember David Cameron with Dennis Skinner when the speaker said, "Can you withdraw that word?" And the word was dodgy Dave. And he said, "I will still call him Dodgy Dave." And then the speaker asked him to leave. And so in Nigel's situation, he said, Massa Clark. The speaker didn't hear it. Massa Mark. The speaker didn't hear it.
No, Sylbourne, let me stop you. The speaker
No, wait. As far as I'm concerned, unless you're going to correct it here, but this is what I understood.
No,
the speaker
didn't hear what Warmington said.
She didn't hear what Warmington said. Did she hear what Clark said? Massa.
Well, everybody did. Because he was talking, he was speaking.
Her reference was to Everett Warmington.
I never know. What did Everett Warmington said? I didn't know that he said something, except when he spoke.
What?
What did Everett Warmington said?
Lester laughing. No, even Lester could defend that if he wanted to.
No. I know that I'm talking about the person that what's her name said to shut up.
That was Everett Warmington.
She was talking to Everett.
Okay. Well,
I thought it was some girl, some.
No. What he said there was, I'm paraphrasing here. They're not true. His grandfather was a slave master. Yeah.
Yeah, but why should she tell him to shut up, shut him out for that? She Angela Brownberg said to somebody, "Shut him out" or something like that.
Not only that, she said, "Shut him out." I knew you would have said something.
No, that was after.
No, what's she talking about? So when she got up, she told, what's his name?
Nigel said,
"Shut up." And Lester laughing because Lester's saying to himself, "How could you not have realized that he was talking to Warmington?" Of course, she was talking to Warmington.
She was talking to Warmington. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was a girl. Somebody said it was a.
No, that's why she said to him, "I knew you would have said something. I knew you would have said something."
Yeah. So therefore, in the whole context of everything, then it's all line up with Nigel. Then.
What do you mean? Yes, that's what I'm saying to Lester. That if Nigel meant something else, clearly the despicable man who Warmington is certainly took it to mean what most right-thinking Jamaicans thought it was.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting as well.
I mean, it just discloses an ignorance, to be honest with you. It suggests that European migration to Jamaica and to the Caribbean ended in 1834. It's nonsense when you start assuming that every Caucasian person who's in the Caribbean or was born in the Caribbean descended from those who practiced slavery. It's just ignorance on a scale that I find bewildering.
But there's always a saying though that black people cannot be racist. You ever hear that one before?
That's nonsense, man.
That's why they say in the UK, black people cannot be racist.
Racism is power plus prejudice. If you have prejudice by itself, that's not racism. And if you have power that you don't use in a prejudicial manner, it's not racism.
So let's say you believe that Nigel was correct.
Me?
No, Lester. No, I'm talking Lester, blogging.
Nigel, Dr. Clark, the finance minister and the future prime minister of Jamaica have nothing to apologize about. The reference, and he said it, and I don't know why we are saying that he meant it in this way or we took it this way. The interpretation of what somebody said says is up to you. And even after the person has made himself clear of his intention, and you still stick to a narrative that you think or you it sounded to you in this way, then I mean the person cannot do anything else about
Who sold it? Sorry, who sold it?
Who sold what?
You said, did you say sold or told you?
Said told.
Okay. I keep saying to you, and sometimes people ignore the law to their own peril. It's not open to Nigel Clark to tell us that the basis on which we must judge his statement is because he had no intention. I'll remind you of a little point that you can write this down for yourself. Anya versus South Bank University. Very few racists go around announcing that they're racist. Yeah. They don't. And that is the reason why you have an objective test for those things, because nobody who's going to be discriminatory in their language, and we're talking about language now, goes around saying I'm being racist by using these words. They don't go around saying that. And if he wants to be future prime minister, I expect him to understand the difference between an objective and a subjective test. When he spoke on Tuesday, he never comforted me to cause me to believe that he understood that this is not, it's not a subjective test. And I don't understand why people are battening down on this nonsense.
I am not battening down.
You are.
What I'm saying to you is, when you listen to even before he said the word master, when you listen to what he was talking about, the context and the conference was talking about, right? He was talking about the general attitude of the opposition leader, and in his utterances and his sentiment, right, as not being sympathetic or respectful, right, to particular persons, and
go on.
Especially when he's addressing, right, Jamaica Labour Party persons or supporters. That's all Nigel was saying, and that was very, to me, that because I was watching it live.
And doesn't matter if you're watching it live or you're watching it on television. What does it matter? It's the words.
I didn't get the impression of him being racial.
Can I just come in right here? This reminds me of this situation: a white man being racist to a black person in the UK, and then he's gonna say, "Listen, I'm not racist. My friends, I got lots of black friends." That's exactly what it is like. I got a lot of black friends, and because I got a lot of black friends, that means to say my interpretation and how I perceive it is not so. Nigel's Matondo sets out the premise on the basis of what is racism to a certain extent. It is, listen, Nigel could have actually dealt with all of those other issues without using the term massa, and it would work.
Massa is a popular
who call people massa? Who call people massa? I know Mastro.
Sylbourne.
Yeah, go on.
Massa is a popular term that is used every day in Jamaica by everyone.
I don't know that. Where?
Lester,
where?
Let me ask you
every day.
Lester, let me ask you this question.
I never know that.
Lester, let me ask you this question. Two white persons use the N-word to refer to the other in quarreling. A white person uses it at the same workplace to a black person. Do you think an objective person would say it means the same thing? Be honest.
That's a very strange question.
Why is it strange?
Because why would a Caucasian person be called another Caucasian person black?
No. I didn't say black. I say use the N-word.
That's what the word means.
No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that.
It's
one
from
of the things. One of the things.
From the Spanish word Negro.
Why?
This is what
you and Dr. Clark and those who defend the nonsense that he did there, they do. You use words as if they evolve out of thin air. Words come with a context. They don't come out of context. So don't tell me what the word.
I'm asking you, is it nigger derivative from the Spanish word negro?
I'm not. Yes, everybody knows that. What's the
And
point?
it means, but it is because the persons were black and they call them that, and the word evolved into that. So they
Yes,
refer.
but the word, the meaning of the word is beyond. It has gotten beyond its etymology. It has gotten now into describing a particular group of people during a particular period. It suggests servitude.
Yes.
I don't think black suggests, from my understanding, servitude. But get back to the point I'm making.
But I'm asking you, if a white person, right? For me, if I see a white person calling a black person, right, the N-word, as you say, right, I'm not alarmed or shocked by it.
If what?
I'm not alarmed or shocked by it.
If what?
If I see a white person calling a black person that.
I didn't ask you if you're alarmed. I'm asking you if the same word being used by two different set of persons will have a different meaning.
I don't know how to answer that question, because why would a white person be called another white person?
Listen. Forget about why. Let's listen to what Matondo said. Stick to the.
I understand what I understand why would.
Listen. So for a second, forget about you don't understand why a white person. Just answer the question. What Matondo says. Forget about why would a white person.
And I'm answering. I said I cannot comprehend the question because it just doesn't make any sense to me.
You cannot comprehend the question. The white is if a white person refers to another white person as an N-word. You can't see how that would be less offensive than if a white person uses it towards a black person.
If that would ever, I live in Europe, I live in the Netherlands, and if I see that happening, right, it wouldn't have any bearing on me. I would just keep going. There's nothing to do.
Ask him.
But what I'm saying to you, I can't compute why you would even come up with a question like that.
Because you have just said that the word massa is a popular used and regular used word in Jamaica.
Yes.
And I made that, and I am using that example to demonstrate to you that words have meanings based on their context and also who use them. And in the context of Nigel Clark, hold on, I'm answering your question. In the context of Nigel Clark, he was speaking to a white person. Okay? He was speaking to a white person. He was using language that historically has been used as a derogatory term to refer to someone of Caucasian origin in the context of a country that has been through European slavery. I don't know why you people are finding it so difficult to just accept that he made a mistake and that his intention is relevant.
In your opinion,
it's not my opinion. I am supporting my opinion with authority. I've just pointed you to one. Anya and South Bank, people who are racist don't go around telling others that they're racist. And I'm not calling Dr. Clark as a racist per se. I'm saying he used a racial slur. He did.
And I am disagreeing with you wholeheartedly because
you're not disagreeing with any substance.
But I've said to you, the context that he started with, you are saying that the context doesn't matter. You're saying
I didn't say that.
Yes, you're saying that. You're saying that the context you
think I'm saying that, but I didn't say that, Lester.
But we both can't speak at the same time. I am saying to you, he was making a specific reference to a line of argument and attitude by Mr. Golding, right? And he laid out the premise in the speech he was making.
Yeah, and the premises was, hey, this guy was at a meeting and he called laborers damn fools. Or I don't know why he think he couldn't have said. There was a level of it was being disingenuous when he said beep fools. He could have said damn fools in the parliament, but he did it. He did it to create the impression on those who are innocent and perhaps wouldn't have listened to the thing. It suggests that he was saying that Mark said something more than damn fools. He could have said damn fool in the parliament, and no one would, because he's repeating what was said. He said, well, listen, Mark said damn fools, and he was referring to Jamaica Labour Party supporters. Yeah. You say because of that context or prefacing, it meant, well, he never meant it. That he said that didn't sound like Marky G. That sound like Massa Mark. What the hell that means?
Massa Mark.
What does that mean?
Massa Mark.
That means some behavior, the attitude. And he said it, and I've said it several times.
Jamaican.
So let me ask you a question. Why did he say?
But are you going to give me a chance to
No. Keep talking, Lester. Please speak, Lester.
I understand what you are saying, but what you are doing, and I understand what you're saying. You say it's subjective, right? I am
objective.
saying objective. Sorry. When the person has lined up the context and saying that this person's attitude has changed and shifted to one of something that is not right towards the person that he's doing it to, right? You're going to say that, no, he shouldn't have called him that based on the attitude. He's calling it a particular attitude. And if it was a black-skinned person, can remember Mark is Jamaican, you know. If it's a black-skinned person you were saying it to, right? You would have no problem in him saying Massa.
I can't go. I cannot.
No, I'm saying if he said the word Massa to a black-skinned person, it wouldn't be an issue.
That's why I gave you the example of two white persons, my good man.
So I use the word.
What I'm saying is, as Jamaicans, and I said Sylbourne, many times persons are relating a story, right? And I say, Massa, I see something done, I say a fight down the road, I say an accident down the road. Them use the word Massa is a commonly used word.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm in a different world than you, Lester.
Holding.
I'm sorry, Lester. This is this sort of stuff that I heard Nigel Clark spouting the other day, and it just doesn't make any sociological or legal sense. It doesn't make any sociological sense or legal sense. When a black person refers to another black person in the, as you just said, or Massa God and all that sort of stuff, it's just it's not the same thing as when you say in the context of a white person calling someone damn fools, then go on to say, well, that person was behaving not like Marky G, but like Massa Mark. I mean, any objective, I keep telling you, if it is that anyone was in doubt, Warmington certainly made sure that no doubt was left in terms of what was.
But Warmington don't speak for Nigel.
Nigel never said to him there and then, no, you cannot say that. And even when he was giving his apologia on Tuesday, he never took time out to say to those who were listening on, you know. And one of my colleagues on my side of the aisle made a comment so quickly after I spoke. That comment, I dissociate myself from it, and it ought to be deplored. Why didn't he say that? Explain that to me.
But hold on. Isn't Mark Golding a descendant of persons who owned slaves in Jamaica?
No, he's not.
Okay.
No, he's not. And I can tell you why I say this. Because the evidence is there of everyone who got paid out as a result of the 20 million that was paid out. It's there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
And that's the first place to go to look.
Yes.
And secondly, Mark is Jewish.
And
what do you mean? And if you know anything about European history in the Caribbean, they came after, my friend, after. That is why I've said Warmington and Dr. Clark are displaying a high level of ignorance to our Caribbean history, and that must never be forgiven. You cannot peddle historical inaccuracies and then suggest to me that you want to be prime minister.
I don't know where you get your information from, but
Okay,
I have
let me help you.
Showing the lineage of Mark 4 parents. I have information showing the lineage of Mark 4 parents coming right down. So I don't know where you get your information from. I'm not going to challenge where you get information from, because you haven't provided any information.
Well, let me help you out. Hold on. You hold on.
Good.
One of the things which is so very interesting about this discussion is that the teachers are so important, and they're fighting out the teachers in Jamaica.
Hold on. You see this book here? The British Slave Ownership.
Yeah.
You see this book here? The Price of Emancipation. You get 2 copies of those. Yep. And you can deliver them to Belmont Road. Because what it shows us is the fact that everyone who got paid out, and let's keep it to Jamaica. Jamaica had at least 50% of all Africans who were enslaved. And by that, it will tell you that it has more Europeans who were involved in the slave trade. All the persons who were paid out, it's listed there. If you don't need to go into this book, you can go to the Bank of England, or you can tap onto the UCL, University College London website. There's a center there for the study of British slavery, and it gives you can do your own search, and you can start with his grandfather's name. I think it's an odious and a pernicious lie that is being perpetrated and sold. I won't say by Warmington, but by aspects. And I say aspects, but because I don't think everyone in the JLP buys into this stuff. Aspects of the Jamaican Labour Party, and it is the lowest level of political.
How do you know that? Do you have any evidence that it's coming from the Jamaican Labour Party?
Do I what?
Do you have any evidence that it's coming from the Jamaican Labour Party?
You just said it, and you're representing. You tell me you're a member.
No, I'm asking you a question.
I've answered you. I've answered you.
No. I'm not talking about what I said. I'm saying, do you? Because obviously you have had this opinion prior to meeting me, prior to speaking to me. Do you have?
Yes.
You have evidence that it's coming from the Jamaican Labour Party?
Yes. I know persons within JLP, and before it got erupted in Parliament on Tuesday, they have told me this is the line of attack that will be utilized. I've engaged with I have friends in both political parties. I've engaged with them. They've told me straight, this is the line that will be pursued. And that is why Warmington has. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I believe that members of the Jamaican Labour Party, members of the Parliamentary ministers would say that to you.
Lester, can I ask you a question? Is it a shock to you that since Warmington has uttered his falsehood, which you have just repeated, that the Prime Minister, who is the leader of the JLP, has not opened his mouth to deplore it and discourage it? If it's not been coming from the JLP explicitly, at least implicitly, remaining silent in the wake of such a lie. Why is it the Prime Minister has not, or the General Secretary of the party has not said, listen, this is not true? Why?
I don't know. I don't speak for the Prime Minister or the General Secretary.
I didn't ask you if you spoke for them. I'm asking you.
And I'm answering the question. I said, I don't know. And I don't speak for them. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they
don't you think that it's quite strange?
I don't know why haven't they come out and said anything for or against it?
Okay. Would you have expected the leader of the party who does not agree with something so serious? Would you have expected the leader of a party to have come out and deplore it?
I mean, if he has evidence that it is not so, then it's a possibility that he should.
And if he has, and equally, if he has evidence,
it is up to what he feels about the situation.
No, it's not up to what he feels. He has a public duty
Yeah.
It's not a private job he has, and it's a public job he has. And he has, and you see, if he has evidence conflicting with what the likes of Warmington and yourself have seem to think is true, he needs to bring it out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, do you know that he has this information?
What information?
We don't know if he has this information.
What information?
You're claiming that Mark is not in the lineage of persons who own slaves.
What do you mean if he has this information?
That's what
I just told you where you could get it. It's public. It's public.
Okay.
It's public information.
Okay, listen now. That doesn't mean anything. Something mean public information don't mean anything that the person have the information.
No, hold on. Sorry.
But let me think my thought.
Yeah.
Many people right, have information or are speaking on certain things, and there's a particular other side to it, which is public information that they don't have. And I'm saying you are saying that the Prime Minister should have said something. We don't know if he has this information.
Okay, the Prime Minister is not Joe Bloggs down the street. The Prime Minister is someone who has a Department of Culture, or what do you call it, Ministry of Culture.
And he has access to information as well.
He has access to information. It only took me one day to research this point. And I'm just a person, an individual.
Yes.
It took me one day. The point I'm making to you is someone like the Prime Minister who has at least no less than 6,000 public servants on his payroll is obliged to get this sort of information so that the lies that both Warmington and yourself have peddled. Yeah.
So you're saying that the Prime Minister must take time out of his busy schedule, right, to come to the Parliament or come publicly and say that this is not true and this is a lie.
You're making it seem as if this is not something that is not relevant to our national affairs. It's a matter of great public interest. If it has escaped your notice, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance saw it necessary to come to Parliament to declare an apologia on the issue. I don't think Nigel Clark goes to Parliament and talk about things that are irrelevant. I really don't think so.
And I agree with you. What I'm saying, you are saying it's of national urgency. No,
I didn't say urgency.
It is urgency.
National importance.
You see, one of the things that I take into consideration is
Let him finish, man.
Finish, Lester.
It is of importance to one set of people.
Who?
People who think that who think highly of Mark Golding.
No, it's important that you got to remember something. The position that Mark holds is recognized in our Constitution. The position that the Prime Minister holds is recognized in our Constitution. This is not Warmington. This is not Dr. Chang. This is the leader of the opposition who has been racially vilified with inaccurate points. You can't call them facts. He's been vilified by lies, frankly. And I say that the Prime Minister is duty bound because he respects the office of the opposition leader. Doesn't have to respect Mark Golding. He respects the office of the opposition leader because he once held it. And he needs to come out and say, if this is true, hey, here's information. If this is not true, here we deplore this. You can't sit and say, well, he has a busy schedule. He has a busy schedule. Lies must be
sure
deplored.
that this is not something high up on the Prime Minister's to-do agenda.
So okay, all right. Can I come in there right now, because Lester said something earlier that he's not speaking on behalf of the government, but he also said a while ago that it's not high on the Prime Minister's agenda. I think one second, Lester. I think that Jamaica has got to be very serious and think seriously about this. The motto of Jamaica, which is out of many one people, right? It is like they're creating a sort of division at the same time. And I believe that the Prime Minister or the government need to sort of take hold of this particular issue here. Even Mallahu fought with the constitutional team which they have set up for the revamping of the constitution and to become a republic, they should also have this high on the agenda and able to, even as Matondo says, give the prime minister the information which is required. And I believe something of this nature, what I'm seeing, which is unfortunate with Jamaica, is if you're upon one side, you agree. If you're upon the other side, you disagree. And therefore, there's nobody that can say, I don't know who in Jamaica can come out and say, right, okay, this is the situation here now, and create some sort of civility. Because Lester said a while ago, is only appeasing one side. And why didn't truly we should be appeasing the nation?
Sylbourne, you know what I find unfortunate with both you gentlemen argument? You guys are saying that because Nigel Clark, the finance minister, MP, and a member of the Jamaica Labour Party, say something towards this particular Caucasian man.
No,
right?
no, to the opposition leader. To the opposition.
No, hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah.
This particular Caucasian man, this is how he's been seen now. He's a Caucasian man. He's a man of European descent. He's white. He's no longer Jamaican again, because it's
okay. Why do you need to stop this nonsense, man? Why do you need to stop this nonsense?
Let me finish. Now, I am saying that Mark Bone is a Jamaican, right? He's a Jamaican. I don't see him as an outsider or a white man. I see him as a Jamaican. I see him as an opposition leader, right? You know what is very funny is that you are asking the Jamaica Labour Party now and the Prime Minister, right,
the government,
right, and the government, right, to say, hey, you guys need to be more responsible. You guys need to be this. You guys need to be that. And when in recent history, right, the People's National Party members have made similar low racial comments towards the Jamaica Labour Party, and you didn't have a show about it. There was no upheaval in the civil society. There was nobody saying that, oh, this is wrong, and it's a matter of urgency and importance and all of that. Nobody said that the PNP as the Queen's or King's opposition should be more responsible in the utterances that they say. We don't. When data
I'm a bit lost in what.
It is very important.
What period are you talking about?
Yeah.
What period are you talking about?
Yeah.
Last year, Dayton Campbell said Bobby Montague is the leader of the black side of the Jamaica Labour Party.
Sorry,
you never heard that?
Sorry, I'm going to tell you I heard it. I'm not going to tell you I heard it, but I heard of it. And I'm saying to you that how much do you know about your party?
What I'm saying is that nobody came out.
How much do you know about the history of your party?
Saying these things.
How much do you know about the history of politics in both of racial politics in both political parties in Jamaica?
I know the history of both parties.
The racial
history of both parties. I'm answering the question.
Am I correct in saying that within the context of Jamaica's political parties, that there have been issues of race in both? And most recently, what's his name? Mr. Andrew Holness. And it's tied up with class, because you can't discuss race in Jamaica without discussing class. We're veering off the principal topic. But within the Jamaica Labour Party, one of the things that were held against Andrew Holness at the time, when he was to become, when he was, challenged by Audley Shaw, the likes of the now Minister of JPs, what's his name? Justice Minister, what's his name? Chuck. The likes of Delroy Chuck didn't support Andrew Holness. And part of it, unless you can't challenge me on this, I know why I say this. Yeah? Part of the problem that they had with Andrew Holness was his class. And class goes with race. Not all the time, but invariably it does in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's a fact, Lester. And I know it is a fact, Lester, because let's just say I heard it from the horse's mouth itself. The horse was talking to me. That's all I will say to you. Now, when Dayton said it, if Dayton said, well, not if, I'm taking it from you that he said it, and I believe you, because I've heard it, I've heard it reported, that somebody is the leader of the black side of the Jamaica Labour Party. You say what in that was racially derogatory?
You're asking me a question.
Yes, what in that was racially derogatory?
Where's the white? So who's the leader for the white side?
No, I'm asking you, what was the racially derogatory by saying someone
black side of the Jamaica Labour Party?
Well, yeah, but you seem to think that because someone mentions color, it equates to some racial derogatory comment. It doesn't. It doesn't. You laugh again because someone mentions color. You seem to think, well, it's racial derogatory. What he said, based on what your response is factually incorrect. There's no black or white side in the Jamaica Labour Party. He hasn't racially slurred anyone. Who has he racially slurred, and how? Tell me.
So what I'm saying is that if it's not even not racially slurring anyone, right?
Yeah.
Who is the leader for the white side of the Jamaica Labour Party?
I don't understand the question you just asked. If he's not racially slurring,
if Bobby is the leader for the black side, there has to be a leader for the white side.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there, but I'm asking the question: if someone attributes to Bobby Montague the role of being the leader of the black side of the JLP, it doesn't. Then you don't move from that to say that's racial derogatory. How has he said anything that's racially derogatory?
You know what is why it's racial? Because
it's racial because he uses the color. It's racial. I'm asking if it's racially derogatory.
And I'm saying to you, when he mentioned Bobby, so all the other persons in the party who are dark skinned, he's saying that they are less than the persons who are not dark skinned.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what Dayton meant.
No. I keep telling you. How you establish if someone is being racial is not by looking at what is not their intention. Is what the objective person says. Exactly. It's the same test. I'm being consistent here. I'm asking you, why do you think that someone will think that because he's mentioned Bobby, it's somehow derogatory? What about Bobby that would cause anyone to think that that's a derogatory comment?
It's not about Bobby. It's how Dayton said it.
What do you mean?
The Dayton is splitting the party into. It's not like say the JLP is split into. It's Dayton is doing that.
Dayton, that's not racially
categorizing a particular set of people in the party to be of lesser importance in the party because they have a certain view.
Why?
You have to ask Dayton now. What you're asking?
I'm asking you, how do you arrive at that?
Because of what he said and what the PNP has consistently said.
See, you see, I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop this, because I tell you what is happening is, and this is the problem that I'm having each time. I'm having this problem each time, trying to have some conversation sometime, and it always relegate back into JLP, PNP. And I'm just tired of it. I'm literally tired of it. Every single thing you're trying to have. I mean, I post something the other day on my page to have some discussion. Somebody come on and just the PNP. Another person, the JLP. And nobody can actually see through the maze and say, let's look at this thing objectively and just deal with these issues. But we are so caught up. I long for the day. Listen, I long for the day when the PNP and the JLP will go up on their platform and none of them are in colors. Nobody in green, nobody in red. Because the man in red is going to be...
The PNP is red anymore.
It doesn't matter. I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up with it. Honestly.
I mean, I see the point. I see the point because nobody wants... I mean, I personally think that Jamaica's understanding of race is very anemic. And that's not a criticism. That's a statement of objective fact. And it reflects the fact that we don't deal with race in the same way that other countries in Europe have to deal with it and engage with it. So the thinking on race is not as developed. But yeah, I agree with you that what this thing with Nigel Clark and Mark Golden has shown us is that we're too divisive as a people. And the objective facts are not something that we care to engage with if they don't serve our subjective motives. That's what I've realized.
Yes,
that's what I've realized.
And you know, one of the things also, you know, when one set out certain things, one have to deal with facts, evidence, and one have to use laws and basis in a way how we can look through things. But a lot of things are becoming very feely, subjective, and green or orange. And then after that, you just say, "What's the sense?" Pack it back and go home. But Matondo, in closing on this thing, what do you think is one of the ways forward? I mean, for Jamaica, in a sense, with these things, and especially parliamentary speaking and parliamentary language, and you know, in the UK, well, the UK not much different in a sense, but even the word dodgy, can get someone kicked out of Parliament, as happened to Skinner, by calling even Boris Johnson a liar. Did she say a liar? But Dawn Butler, she was kicked out of Parliament for that as well, for calling Boris Johnson a liar. And I think that it is so crucial that when words come out, words like, if it is not appropriate, the words that what's her name said, Angela Brownberg, the word that Nigel Clark said, massa, withdraw that word. But again, it comes to me as if the speaker has selective hearing or selective time at the same time.
And I mean, you asked what needs to be done. Yeah. I've never believed in a speaker from either of the two political parties.
True.
I've never believed in it. We can do better than to select someone from a political party. We can do better than that. That's where we should start first if we're really interested in
I agree with you.
Resetting the parliament.
Yeah,
I think that's a real problem, is that, and you can't criticize the speaker because someone has spent their life in a political party and have told the party line, to then ask them to be the neutral arbiter. It's a bit artificial.
To be a referee.
Yeah, it's artificial.
Yes.
It's artificial.
Yes.
So it won't change, but I hope we don't go back in our politics to dealing with issues of color, race, because I think if we focus on the economics repeatedly and get our people to really focus on economics, some of these people who become MPs will never make it to Parliament.
Yes.
The substance. And as I say, I love the drama of politics. Even if I don't care what side it comes from. I love it. You know, I mean, this thing that Nigel Clark did the other day with the paper that he won, that's drama. I like that stuff. It was a lot of nonsense to me because I like that drama. We need that drama. It always need that drama in politics. But yeah, you shouldn't use racially derogatory comments when you're addressing people. It's just wrong.
And without a doubt, you know, what you don't get is, you know, like even in the UK here, persons like the backbenchers would come out and say something against the government side. But in the UK, in Jamaica, what I pick up is that you don't see someone breaking ranks from each side to call out something. I don't know if that happens.
Size of the parliament and the politics. But it's a role of the prime minister in our legislature. The prime minister is too strong, and you can't have a truly independent MP in Jamaica in a party because it's just so small. Just so small.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't think there's an appetite. I don't think there's an appetite for independent thought either.
Yes.
I don't know about that. But
You don't know about what?
What you just said, that there's no thought for independent, appetite for independent thought.
Can you remind me of the last time someone in either party, when either party was in power, that person not voted against the party? Remind me.
Portia Simpson Miller.
When?
With the fire truck, with the local government being, they were not given the amount of budgetary support that they wanted, and she voted against. And
you mean when she was Minister of Labour?
I think
or
so.
Local government.
Yeah. And KD Knight used some very unkind words towards her.
That was in the 1990s, yeah?
I don't remember the exact period.
Yeah, it must be Mr. What's his name? Barrister resigned in 2002.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact period. Yeah. I won't give a timeline. I don't remember the exact, but I know that she either abstained or voted against.
She didn't vote against the party.
And KD was not pleased.
Yeah, she didn't vote against the party. I remember about the allocation for the fire trucks. Yeah, yes. She didn't vote against the party.
But she
spoke against it in Parliament, and she abstained. Yes, I agree with that.
I mean, abstain is not for.
It's neither against.
Well, but KD was very, anyway.
That's not the point.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that.
Give me one example in the Parliament that's been around since 1962. What's your point?
You asked for one.
Yeah, okay, fine. So in the Parliament that has sat since 1962, you've given me one example.
But let me finish what I was saying. You see, and I always tell Sylbourne this, regardless of what we think, Jamaica is still a very young democracy, right? And we're still holding on to a lot of bad examples and bad traits from the society. Because remember, when I hear persons like yourself, both gentlemen, speak, remember, you are speaking about a society that's a broken society that selects members of parliament or leaders from the same broken society, and expect them that these 63 persons are going to behave miraculously different than a society, right? We expect better of them, you know. But remember, just like with police force, our nurses, our soldiers, whatever, we take them from this broken society, right? It will take a very long period of time before we get it right. You know, America and England are way older democracies, and they had a time to work out the kinks and work out all these nuances, and they're getting it. They should be getting it right now. We see England kind of deteriorate and US kind of deteriorate now in some weird things in politics. But what I'm saying is that we still are very young in our politics, and the tribalness in Jamaica in terms of politics not going to just go away just like that. We are seeing a little shift because a lot of persons are not intrinsic JLP anymore, or PNP anymore. You know. So it is going to take some time. What we need is more emphasis on education, social education, and formal education, academic education. But the social education is very, very much lacking.
Yeah.
And we agree on that.
Yes, I don't think anyone can disagree on that point there. But I think one of the key points what you mentioned though is that the leadership come from a broken society. You remind me of what Johnny Barnes says: to get racism out of football, you have to recognize that the racist people come from the society. So you got to deal with the society, you know. I think at the same time though that those that are in leadership have a responsibility. And I think the Prime Minister said something one time which was really commendable, but I don't know if it's working, where he said, I'm not going to try to be popular or something like that, not to win votes. He said something like that, not to win votes. He wanted to do the right thing or so. Or something of that nature.
Yeah, he was giving away some houses done by Angela Brownberg's constituency when he said that. It was also in reference to the Bernard Lodge situation and some other stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting to mention the Bernard Lodge thing because I was looking at this thing about White River. I just realized we have been last half an hour. Time moves so fast. The White River thing whereby the rafters were removed or so, or something happened down there, and it's somewhat similar to how it looks like how the Bernard Lodge bit is. I don't like to blame government like that, because sometimes government knows something that we don't know. And even with the White River bit there, and as an Ochiman growing up in Orchards, these guys are always there. Not these same guys, but apparently things have been getting out of hand. But one of the things that I look at is who takes care of these people when actually you take away their livelihood, whether they're illegal or not. Who takes care of these people? When actually things are taken from them, and I'm not condoning any crime or whatever like that, these guys more than likely might be preying back on society. and was there any sort of plan afoot? Is there a contingency plan to actually mash up the people and thing? Well, it was on video. I'm not saying it's the government, but it's an arm of this government, which is the police, arm of the state. One cannot condone legal activities. One cannot condone things which are wrong. Sexual impact, because somebody messaged me and told me some breakdown of what was happening there, that they have been trying to have some deal with these persons, and it doesn't look good.
Oh, well.
Are you going to speak for the Labour Party, Lester? Because you sound like you're going to speak for the Labour Party.
I'm going to respond to what you said.
Okay,
I spoke to the councillor for the division, and they have been having dialogue with these persons, right? And the numbers keep growing of men who coming down there to the rafting. What I believe the authorities from Jump is that once it started, you shouldn't have allowed it to continue once it started. You should have regularized it from Jump. It was like about maybe 20 or so, 25 persons there first before the pandemic. During the pandemic, more persons came down. It has ballooned now to over 100 rafters, right? And sexual activity is going on there. Illegal contraband is being peddled there, and all type of things is happening there, right? They spoke to them and said that what is happening can be happening because they get thousands of complaints from persons, right? And they're saying that, look, we're going to have a particular level of training, we're going to regularize the thing, right? But you guys have to behave in a more
proper way,
orderly and welcoming way, and decorum towards not just tourists but towards visitors to that area. I was there in Jamaica last year, right? My wife and I went there and to visit a friend at one of the shops there, and I wanted to turn, and it was the hardest thing to turn right there. I had to go all the way down the road to turn, because on both sides they're washing cars, and it was chaos there. So right. So what has happened recently? This video was from March the 5th, I think, right? Where you see the men are about to fight or fighting, and it is just a matter of time before somebody get killed there or seriously harmed. So the state step in. My thing is, why do we always say who is going to take care of these people? Why these people have a good thing going and thus not adhere to this decency, not adhere to rule of law, not adhere to maintaining my livelihood? So the state don't do anything to destroy them livelihood, They are the one destroying the livelihood. Somebody come and take care of them.
All right, stick up in there. Matondo, you might have to leave. Yes, Matondo? Matondo, I think.
Yep, I did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you say you got to leave. You got to leave shortly, I said.
So, yeah, I have to leave now. I need to go and get something.
I lost you there.
Can you hear me?
What's your last word regarding? Yes, I can hear you. What's your last word regarding the regarding the Parliament bit, and then we go back. Less than I will go back onto that topic.
Well,
your last word for the Prime Minister, for the government.
As broken as the society, as broken as the society is, those who are in leadership position, both on the opposition side and the government side, must show leadership. I don't care how broken the society is. They must show leadership. and that will contribute to the maturation of our democracy.
Yes, definitely. Well, Matondo, listen, want to thank you so much for coming on, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, Matondo Mukulu is a Jamaican public law barrister and commentator on aspects of Caribbean constitution and public policy issues. For an interim period, he also served as Jamaica's public defender. We need to find out who is the public defender in Jamaica, because we know you're not going to go on there. So, but Matondo, can you go and talk to the person and tell him to come and talk to him?
I'm sure the man is doing a good job. All right.
All right.
I'll speak to you another time. Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All the best.
Good.
Yeah.
No problem.
All the best, Matondo. Respect.
Thanks.
Thank you.